What is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Fenixx, and this is going to be your astrological forecast for today, May 30th of 2023. So let's hop right into this. This probably won't be as long as my usual ones because I got to run to the gym in a few minutes. And there's not like a whole lot going on today, but I was doing a little bit of research before I hopped on here, and I saw something that was very, very interesting. Something was just telling me to look this up, so I'm glad I did. First thing, though, of course, I want to bring your attention to, we do, of course, still have the sun in Gemini at 8 degrees, moving forward, wanting to explore, wanting to be, curious, as far as that stuff goes, definitely wanting us to expand as far as that area in our life goes. We do have the moon over here, which trying the sun overnight. So it happened in the middle of the night, but the moon in Libra, definitely looking for some sort of emotional balance, stability, really trying to bring things more into this clear focus. As Mercury is getting closer to being out of shadow, it will be out of shadow in just a few days. I'm not sure how fast it's moving at the moment. It's moving, let's see. Yeah, it's moving about a degree a day. So it'll be actually out of shadow tomorrow. It'll be right at the point where it retrograded tomorrow. So that might be an interesting point. We'll talk more about that in tomorrow's horoscope. But yep, Mercury at 14 degrees. It's like right at the edge. Today is definitely a day where we definitely can feel like we're at the edge. I'm seeing in my head being at the edge of like a forest that's kind of like foggy and things are finally starting to clear up. But remember, I was talking about that boss battle that we're going to be coming into as soon as Venus goes into Leo and opposing over to Pluto. So we still are in like the sort of preparation for this week of preparing for that boss battle. Now, of course, major, we do have Jupiter 3 degrees finally of Taurus, making that conjunction over to the North Node, making that opposition over to the South Node. This is definitely going to be, we're definitely coming more to a aha kind of moment, right? Jupiter conjuncting Taurus, Jupiter conjuncting the North Node in Taurus is certainly asking us to, what is in our life. Taurus is about the simple pleasures, but it's also about the hard work. It's about kind of putting one step in front of the other. It's a slower sign per se. But here's the thing. Once the bull gets running, you can't stop the bull. That's the thing about it. Once that bull starts running, it is really, really hard to stop them. So that's kind of the beautiful thing about this is that whatever it is that we're wanting to create and manifest in our life, so long as we put one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, we'll notice that it starts to take on this sort of life of its own in this momentum. And that momentum will carry us to the place that we're meant to be. Jupiter here with the North Node in Taurus is a very beautiful energy. Now, Jupiter is going to expand and inflate whatever we really give it. And with it being a Taurus, this is about self-worth. This is about our values. And what the North Node is here, it's asking us, hey, what is it that's truly valuable in your life? Truly valuable, right? Not necessarily what is flashy, not necessarily a desire per se and what has edge, something that actually takes some time to build, right? This is also building something new in many ways. Not just necessarily grabbing something that kind of already has instructions laid out for you. You know what I mean? There could be an element of that, but this is about having some sort of vision and building something new. You gotta remember, Jupiter is all about vision. Jupiter, it does rule Sagittarius, and it's about aiming for a goal too. It's about the adventure. So, what goals do you have when it comes to building the quality of life that you really want? And knowing that it is a vision, knowing that it's going to take some time to get there, Jupiter conjunct the North Node, and it'll be here for a little bit because Jupiter doesn't move super, super fast. Jupiter's moving at about, let's see, whereas Jupiter is moving, yeah, about 13 minutes a day, and that's considered fast for us. So it's going to be here for the majority of this week. So definitely take advantage of this energy. Jupiter conjuncting Taurus, great time to really kick off projects, announce projects, or really just like I said, hone in on those skills, hone in on those Taurus-like skills. So now the other thing I really thought was interesting is this whole Uranus moving to 20 degrees of Taurus. And I did say that something interesting was going to pop off when Uranus reached 20 degrees of Taurus. And I was doing a little bit of research. When was the last time that the Uranus had reached this 20 degrees of Taurus? And I actually had found it. The last time that this had happened was back June 17th, 1939, right? That was the last time that Uranus had hit this 20-degree mark. So what's interesting about this chart is the fact that right now we have Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees, and we have Mars in Leo at 5 degrees. We got the reversal right here. So in many ways, there's this sort of reversal kind of energy where people back then were kind of in between two different worlds, right? There was war was brewing around this time. When I said that things were going to pop off, one of the major things I found when I was looking up what happened on this date in 1939, and it turns out that was the last public beheading that happened in France. Some serial killer who had killed like 6 or 8 people or something like that. It was the last time there was a public beheading literally popping off happened on this date. And what was crazy about it is that when apparently they asked them about it, it's like, hey, before they beheaded him, they were like, are you remorseful? He was like, why would I be remorseful? I didn't even know these people. Crazy ass shit. I think Hitler also had invaded Czechoslovakia around that time. So like, it was kind of an interesting thing, just kind of looking up to see what happened around that time. Last public guillotining in France. Eugene Weidmann, a convicted murderer, was guillotined in Versailles outside of the prison Saint Pierre. Yeah, that happened the last time that Uranus hit this degree, right? You have, let's see, there's other things I thought was interesting that was happening around that time, or just in general within that year. But you can feel things starting to kind of like build up. And I think that's what we can feel right now. Things are starting to kind of build up. Which said, we had like this reversal though. So like I said, you are in between different worlds. You're in between the silent generation and the baby boomers. Booming. Things are about to really pop off. I just thought that was very interesting. We also, of course, had the nodes, but they were reversed this time. North node was in Scorpio, south node was in Taurus. So that's the thing about Uranus. When I say things are going to pop off, it's going to happen in a very eclectic, weird, electrifying way. Something that's probably going to come out of left field. But guys, you can't make this stuff up. The sun was a Gemini at that time as well. And the fact that we have this reversal, I found that to be very, very interesting. So yeah, Mars at 5 degrees, Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. How in the world does that happen? This is why I love astrology, guys. But yeah, I think that as far as today, with that moon in Libra, we're definitely going to be, I'm not going to say necessarily leaning on that energy. I think this is a pretty positive day overall. I think it's really just more so everything coming more into focus, everything coming more into clarity. That moon in Libra is definitely a little bit of a lighter energy compared to the moon in Virgo. The moon in Virgo was kind of intense because even though it was making those trines over to Taurus, it was still opposing Saturn. It still opposed Neptune. So it definitely made things definitely kind of threw a wrench into things as far as trying to like us wanting things to look perfect and us wanting things to look a certain way, especially from an emotional standpoint. That moon in Libra is definitely going to be looking for a lot more balance and stuff. And even though it's quincunxing all of this Taurus energy, like it'll make that quincunx over to Mercury. Because the moon is exalted in Taurus, this is probably one of the easiest quincunxes that you could probably have in the zodiac, because the moon understands that Taurus-like energy. It wants to be there. It appreciates that. So I wouldn't say that that's even a negative aspect. And it might be more so of like, the quincunx, I call it the awkward stare from across the room. So when the moon does I'll move this forward to when the moon actually does quincunx over to, so when it quincunxes over to Mercury, It'll be about the afternoon time, late morning for those on the West Coast. By that time, the sun would have moved to 9 degrees of Gemini. So we're moving into that sort of energy. 9 being the energy of Mars. So being an energy of action. So that's going to be interesting. And we'll be eventually hitting that last decan. So I think today's going to be a day where we're going to be pretty much asking ourselves a question of like, okay, so I have all these tools in my arsenal, right? I've been given a glimpse into the future on what can actually happen. There's still some things in the past that I still have to go in and clean up, as we all do. Pluto is retrograde; it's about to go back into Capricorn, so we're not going to quite come into the new world, if you will, just yet. But we're getting a glimpse into things, and with Jupiter going over the North Node, it's definitely going to be wanting to spark off and inflate, in many ways, like what it is that we truly value. I think you probably heard a lot of astrologers say that value, 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 but this is actually really true. Like that's why there's so many things around money right now. That's why there's so many things around the economy and debt ceilings and all that sort of stuff. That's why there's so much focus right there on this Taurus energy. And we haven't had this much Taurus energy in a while, And I always say that Taurus is the most. I consider it to what's the word? It already escaped me. Not underappreciated sign, although that's probably what it is. But dang, the word escaped me. It's not underappreciated. What word am I looking for? I can't believe it actually left me. See, words are hard. See, that's Mercury in shadow. Even though Mercury is still moving forward, it's still in shadow. So we're still not quite, we don't have all the answers just yet. It's still a little murky. It's still a little weird. You know what I mean? So, if you don't have all the answers right now, don't freak out. This is not a time to freak out. This is a time to just keep moving forward, staying focused, smiling often, keeping focused on those goals. Especially, you would know right now too. You would know because you're the kind of, I would say, because Uranus, like I said, is the sign also of vibration too. So you would know based off of what you're doing right now and your actions, you would know if you really are on the right path because you'll be connecting with the right people. You'll have very weird idiosyncrasies with different people and situations. You'll start to notice different things. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get the card for the day. This is actually, like I said, it's going to be a bit of a shorter one because I do have to run to the gym here in a bit. But like I said, overall, I think it's going to be a very positive day. I think it's going to be a day where, we are going to be a little bit more emotionally balanced out. The moon's not really going to be doing a whole lot besides making that King Kunks over to all that Taurus energy. It will oppose Chiron later in the day too. So that might bring a little bit of edge just because, Chiron and Aries might bring out some ego issues. As far as like if people have like wounding to their ego that they haven't quite fixed out, the moon is going to want to help bring some clarity and balance to that area. But it really kind of depends on how people, if they actually truly know that they're worth it, if they actually truly know that they're worth it. If they actually truly know that they're worth accepting the wounding, accepting what's happened to them, or what actions they might have taken, what they've done to get to this point and stuff like that. But if they can just accept those things and move forward, which is what all this energy is wanting us to do, don't get just caught up in this whole energy. Don't get caught up in, oh, woe is me, and blah, blah, blah. This could definitely be identity issues as well. That's the other thing about Chiron and Aries is identity issues. So the moon is going to, highlight a lot of that as it makes that opposition. So that's the one interesting thing about the moon too. If you think about it, is that anything that it really opposes, it's going to highlight it. Just like when the moon opposes the sun, and it's a full moon. think about it when like the moon opposes pretty much anything, is that it's going to highlight and be the major reflection. So, like as I said, if you when you come throughout the day, the moon is going to hit that 18-degree mark, and it's going to be towards the end of the day. So you'll probably go throughout the whole day, and then by the time that you get home from work or whatever you're doing today, there's going to be this major reflection point with the moon in Chiron, and there's going to be sort of this question. I was like, hey, yes, there might be some ego wounding here. There may be some identity issues here. Despite all that, will you choose to move forward? Will you choose to move forward to the new world, the new realm, the new you? Underrated. I was trying to figure out the opposite. Taurus is the most underrated sign in the zodiac, in my opinion. It's the most underrated sign of the zodiac. I finally remembered it. Oh boy. So the card that we have for today, we do have the Page of Swords in reverse. I also have the Nine of Cups upright. And we also have the Nine of Swords as well upright. We have Nine of Swords, Nine of Cups, and then the Page of Swords. Really, what's going on here is that you can kind of go either one of two ways. That's kind of what I see. You can either know that you are well, let's start with the Nine of Swords. Yeah, you can either hold yourself back and not choose to get up. You know, you can either just lay there and just, will you lie with me and just forget the world? That's kind of the energy I'm getting off this card right now. Yeah, we can just lie there, forget the world. You know what I mean? But more so in a way where we just feel like, oh, screw the world. The world has done all this to me. I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm going to just sit here and wallow. Or we can have that emotional fulfillment. The great thing about this card, there's still a whole other cup that comes after this, but he already knows his truth. He already knows his value. Look at him. He has his arms crossed. He's smiling. He knows his worth. He absolutely knows his worth, and he treasures those cups. Now we do have that Page of Swords, though. We do have that Page of Swords, which this is in many ways kind of takes on this sort of Gemini quality. And with Mercury being retrograde, that explains why it's in a reversal stage as well. So yeah, we might not have all the answers. We might be a little bit, I think when it comes to that sort of energy, we might be a little bit, rough around the edges, if you will. A little rough around the edges. I think this is also, some of you guys may have imposter syndrome. That's what I'm hearing with the Page of Swords in reverse, because this is all about communicating what we really want to the universe. And sometimes we will psych ourselves out and think that we don't really deserve certain things, but we absolutely do, because, like I said, we can have this Nine of Cups quality in our life, but we may be holding ourselves back as well. So we have to really ask ourselves, really, what direction are we really wanting to go in? I will say that this card right here, the Nine of Cups. This is more of the North Node in Taurus. This right here is sort of like that South Node and Scorpio kind of energy, right? I'm gonna draw one more card. I'm gonna draw the bottom card of the deck. So we have the Justice card as well. We have the Justice card in reverse. So yeah, this could definitely be feeling like, maybe there's certain injustices that we feel like we have experienced in our life, and maybe that is what's holding us back, because we're like, well, what's the point? Well, the point, beloved, is that I'm hearing that, things I'm hearing. So one thing I'm hearing mainly, and this is actually kind of directed more at millennials, especially, just because millennials probably feel like they have dealt with a lot of injustices. I'm hearing that every generation has its challenges. Every person has its challenges, but every generation has its challenges, and these things can be overcome. What I'm hearing today is that so long as you know your true worth, your true value. And when I say this, I mean this is something that no one else can tell you. This is something that comes from within. This is something that's personal. So this is This is not something, because you got to remember, like, this is Taurus energy, so this is very personable energy too. So this is something that has to come from within you. So long as you know that, I'm also hearing your inner world has to be peaceful. It has to be more peaceful than this sort of external world. Now, hopefully, now if your inner world is more peaceful, then your external world should start to reflect that a little bit. But I think that's what's happening here. I think so many people are so focused on a lot of the chaos of the external world that they can't even see the beauty that's within them. If you can find that inner peace, if you can find that inner peace, then you will actually start your external world will begin to morph and actually shift and reflect the inner world. And I think that's what's happening right now. That so many people are so focused on the external world and factors that they cannot control, that is starting to make that's making their inner world more tumultuous. It's making that inner world something that's not peaceful, and that's that's not a great place to be in, because you're going to spend 100% of your time with you. So definitely strive to make that inner world more peaceful today. I am going to draw one more card just because with the cards it does seem a little intense and stuff. We have the Six of Swords as well. So I just keep getting these kind of cards, you know. Six of Swords in reverse though. So some of you guys feel like you might have to leave behind certain situations, leave behind certain people, and it's really not as bad as you think it is. It's really not as bad as you think it is. It's all smoke and mirrors. That's actually a positive thing. So just because things may seem a little tough sometimes, just because same things may not seem exactly 100% right, you can still function off of 90%, 80%, 70%. I think what's happening is that a lot of people unfortunately keep their battery charged to only maybe 10%, and they feel like they have to keep rushing back to the charger and plugging themselves back in. Take some time today to really charge up. Hopefully, you took time over the weekend to really charge up. And just know that, hey, if there's a day where you're not really running at 100%, or even 90%, or even 70%, or even 50%, that's okay. A cell phone can still function at 30%. That's going to do it for your video today. It still ended up going about 20 minutes, but hey, that's just is what it is, you know. That's just how we flow on here. So thank you for joining me on this astrology forecast for Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. Like I said, my name is Jamal Pope, aka J Fenixx, and I will see you all on the next video. Peace out.